Well, welcome, David and Elisha. I'm really happy that you are both being my guests today. And I would like to ask you to introduce yourself, and maybe David would like to start.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is David Miller, and I am author and channel, and also the director of an organization for planetary healing called the Arcturian Group of 40. I have written approximately 16 books based on my Arcturian methods, and right now we have almost 1,000 members worldwide who are participating in our planetary healing exercises.
Wonderful. And Elisha, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Elisha, and I live in the Netherlands, and I started recently a school for Arcturian teachings and a healing school where I promote this year holographic healing, and that is a year-long training. And I have many before all schools, yoga school. I work with children. I have a healing school for children. And I was having a school to learn people and parents to how to treat their children from their heart and from their soul. And that works very well.
Wow,
And now
amazing.
I teach only Arcturian.
Ah, great. Yeah. And it's so great to have a Dutch guest today because I'm from the Netherlands as well. And I discovered your book, David, a while ago. And I was really blown away by it because I've been receiving messages from the Arcturians myself. And when I was reading your books or your book, I read exact the same healing methods that you were describing. And I thought, wow, this was such a confirmation that the channelings and the messages that I had received, that they were truly from the Arcturians. And I must say that you have such a deep insight into the healing system that that you described. And so would you like to share a bit about that book, about the healing, ascension, and help for planet Earth?
Well, I think you're referring to my first book, Connecting with the Arcturians, which I received and wrote in 1996. And in that book, they talk about earth healing and new technology for the spirituality. Basically, we are in a planetary crisis right now. And the planetary crisis is based on our technology is more advanced than our spirituality. We need to improve and increase our spiritual intervention on the planet. The basic teaching is that the Earth is a living spiritual planet. And there is previous historical writings about this, because even going as far back as the Greeks, who called the Earth Gaia, which refers to Gaia as a living planet. Now, as a living planet, it means that we must interact with the spirit of the planet. And the Arcturians say we have lost our connection to the spirit of the earth. And they give specific healing techniques. The first technique is called biorelativity. Biorelativity is the ability to telepathically communicate with the earth. The second healing method is called the Planetary Cities of Light project. And the Arcturians say that we need to create more sacred spaces, more sacred energies, and that we could designate specific cities as planetary cities of light. The third technique has to do with what I call the ring of ascension. I'm not sure if that was discussed in that first book, but they said that there is a planetary halo around the earth that helps us to intersect and to interact with fifth dimensional energy and light. The other techniques for planetary healing have come after the first book, because I now have, it's a 4-volume series, Connecting with the Arcturians, volume 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the later books go into more specific directions on how to use these techniques and how to encourage the interaction of the fifth dimension. The most recent book that I wrote and received, called Connecting with the Arcturians, volume 4, focuses on the evolution of humanity. And they call the next step of the evolution of humanity Homo Omega. And basically, the Arcturians say that we must prepare ourselves for the next step in human evolution, that Homo sapien is not the last stage in development. And if you think about it, you know, there have been the Neanderthal man, there's the Cro-Magnon man, there's Australopithecus. There are different earlier versions of humanity. And I don't know why people think that Homo sapien is the last state, but it isn't. And the Arcturians talk about the next state, which is Homo Omega. And I'd be happy to talk more about that if you wish.
Yes, absolutely. I'm really curious to find out what makes this new type of human unique.
Well, the new type of human has a special trait, which is called higher consciousness. In the past, when we look at the evolutionary history of the human species, Homo sapien, usually the evolutionary change happens in a crisis. And we are now in a planetary crisis. But in the past, the crisis often would lead to different physical changes, such as walking upright or having an opposing thumb, or maybe having certain other traits, even certain mental traits, such as the ability to use fire. But the next trait that is going to appear in the new form is higher consciousness. And a higher consciousness which allows us to connect with the fifth dimension and to receive information. But we have to learn to expand our consciousness. Now, some of the Arcturian starseeds, like yourself and Elisha, already are using their higher consciousness and already understanding what it means to have fifth dimensional consciousness. So this basically is what they call Homo Omega, which is the next stage of humanity and evolution that has higher consciousness.
Yeah. And do you think that this has also got to do with how many people are experiencing physical changes, and they feel that it is related to the ascension process? Do you think that is related to the changing of our biology or DNA?
Well, it's not so much changing, but as activating or opening up DNA, because we are programmed for higher evolution. And there are different points, even called the Omega point, which is that point where all of the evolution comes together to achieve the highest potential of humanity. Now, some people call this as representative, for example, of Christ's consciousness. And I'm very open to that thought. So yes, the people who are feeling more sensitive or feeling more changes, who are wanting to work together for peace and unity and harmony, this is indications that we are moving away. We must move away from polarizations. We must move away from our divisions, and we must move together into a unity. But it is also a new consciousness. And I, in my work, explore ways to help people experience expanded consciousness. And the main method that I use is called the trance state. or the altered state of consciousness. And the Arcturians have given us other tools to help us experience these different states of consciousness. And some of the technology includes, for example, bilocation, thought projection, and working on fifth dimensional Arcturian planes that are represented by their discussions of the Arcturian Crystal Lake and other ideas such as the Arcturian Crystal Temple.
Yeah. And I'm really fascinated by these things that you mentioned because, of course, I'm a quantum healer trained by Dolores Cannon, and it is very, very familiar for us to work with that trance state and to enter those dimensions. But I feel that you are going much deeper than we come across often. So what you mentioned, for example, is bilocation. Could you share a bit about what you think that bilocation is and how it works?
Well, I start by describing what's called multidimensional presence. And the multidimensional presence means that we are existing simultaneously on several dimensions. And by the way, I'm very interested in Dolores Cannon's work. I've read her books, and she was visiting, I believe, Sedona, Arizona. I live in Prescott, Arizona, and I believe that she has done workshops. I'm not in Sedona. I've not met her personally, but I've read her books, and she was a very high thinker and high channel. Now, the idea of multidimensional presence is not as far out as people might think, because we are going into other realms in our dream state. And the dream state is a good example of going into higher levels or different levels of consciousness. But in this idea that the Arcturians talk about, we can, quote, bilocate or thought project by going into higher realities. So let's say, for example, that we wanted to travel to the Arcturian starship called the Starship Athena. The Arcturians would have us work with our imagination and set up a corridor of light between ourselves, our room, and their starship. And then we would visualize that our spirit body would leave our physical body, still attached with the astral cord, but leave our spiritual body through the crown chakra and travel at the speed of thought through the corridor and arrive at the fifth dimensional starship. Now, the idea is that the speed of thought is the fastest speed in the universe. I know that Einstein talks about the speed of light being the fastest at 186,000 miles a second. But, and this comes about the speed of thought because where you think is where your mind is. If you think about heaven, if you think about the fifth dimension, then you're there. And this is a very popular concept also in mysticism. I'm a student of the Kabbalah, and in the Kabbalah we say if you want to be in the Garden of Eden, then think about being there, and you're there. Yeah. And so the idea is that you could be 80% present on the earth and 20% present on the higher realms. Yeah. So we are trying to teach people to experience these other dimensions, but while still on this dimension. And the idea is that you would bring back, and this is a very important concept, you bring back energy, ideas, and spiritual light from the higher dimension back to the earth. So we're just not trying to go there, which is wonderful, but we also want to bring back higher light and energy and solutions to the earth.
Exactly. And yeah, I was so blown away when I read that in your book about the corridor going to that spaceship, because I once have experienced going there, and it was in an experience where I also saw Dolores being there. And I feel that she was also one of those Arcturian starseeds. And during one of my sessions, I received information how to travel through different timelines. And they gave me, well, an image or a symbol, how you call it. And I used to call that the time crystal. But it is exactly what you described in your book, and you call it a corridor, I believe. It's like as if you step into this, how do you call it?
You
Tube?
talk about the corridor? You talking about the corridor?
Yeah. You mentioned.
Well, the thing is that there are different levels of dimensions.
Yeah.
And we're on the third level. Okay. And there is the fourth dimension, which is the astral realm. And the Arcturians are teaching that we should travel through the astral realm and go to the fifth dimension.
Yeah.
Now, why? Because first of all, the astral realm has lower beings. There is the lower astral realm, and people are aware of ghosts and lower entities.
Yeah.
And we don't want to get involved with them. So we go right through the corridor, bypassing the fourth dimension. Now, there is the higher astral plane as well, but the Arcturians are on the fifth dimension, and which is where the ascension will take us when we ascend. And of course, the Arcturians talk a lot about planetary ascension and personal ascension, and they have a lot of information, which is in my book. And by the way, if your readers are interested in my books, they're all on Amazon.com. You could Google my name, David K. Miller, and all 16 of my books are there. And we have a website, www.groupof40.com, and it has also lots of information. And we are trying to bring together people, and Elisha is helping me bring together people, because we want this is a global movement. It's just not, for America. It's a global movement because we want to globally bring people together in Planetary Cities of Light and Biorelativity meditation. And in my latest book, I talk about this concept called the noosphere, which is another higher level of thought energy field, and how we need to come together in our thoughts for global unity.
And could you share a bit about the cities of light and the etherical crystals?
Well, the planetary cities of light are cities on the earth that want to be, I call it Shambhala-like, which is the etheric fifth dimensional city that's been described in some of the Tibetan texts. And we, with the Arcturians, have a certain method of activating the cities of light. We bring through crystals, we bring through a special channeling by an Arcturian, and we download energies to make it a fifth dimensional city of light. And then as a fifth dimensional city of light, we could create protective energy fields around the city of light, so that there is not going to be any negativity around there. Right now, we have over 75 cities of light. I have another person that's helping me to organize this part. We have, I believe, and Elisha can answer that. I think we have one city of light in the Netherlands. Isn't that correct, Elisha?
Yeah, we have in Lunteren a city of light. And last Tuesday, we did a meditation with the crystals, and we go to Shangri-La. We have created in the etheric, of in the crystals, and in the etheric crystal, we have downloaded here in Lunteren, in the midst of Lunteren, from Montserrat. And we integrate all the energies in the crystals, and from there out, it moves to the whole city.
Wow.
It was amazing. And you was there, huh, Patricia?
Oh, yes. I was so glad that you invited me. It was so beautiful.
Yeah.
And it really, it was an experience. And I was wondering, you mentioned that you downloaded the crystal from Montserrat.
Yeah.
And so I believe, if I remember correctly from your book, there are 12 etherical crystals from the Arcturians placed on Earth, right?
Right. They downloaded with me and with the other Arcturian group members energetic etheric crystals to help boost the fifth dimensional energy and light. And Montserrat, Spain, is where one of the crystals are. That's what Elisha is referring to. We I had a big ceremony there. There's another one in Bodensee, also known as Lake Constance in English. And we have one in Mount Shasta. We have one in Argentina, one in Japan. So there are 12. Now, interestingly, these 12 crystals have formed like a bypass meridian, so that we can energetically use this meridian-like energy to boost the life force energy around the Earth.
And Elisha, could you explain to me how did you download that crystal or created the City of Light in Lunteren? Could you share that?
Yeah, we have created with David and Arcturians, with Juliano, and we were here with a group of 40 members of the Netherlands, and we were here in Lunteren. And before that, we have buried around Lunteren all the crystals in the earth.
Wow.
And then on the specific time, Juliano came with a basket and took all the energies, the polluted energies from Lunteren up, wall of Lunteren, you can speak of it, and bring it into the starship Athena. And they clean all the energy, clean the crystals, and then he downloaded back. And all the energy was cleaned and healed. Now, Lunteren is a very social city with people very, very social. And after that, it was like the air was more light. It was more light incoming, and people are more social than before was possible.
Wow. Amazing.
It was enormous. And the crystal from Montserrat, we did together with people from Mexico, Ariana. They have also made a copy of what we did at that time from the meditation. And also together, we brought a duplicate of the crystal from Montserrat together over France to the Netherlands.
Wow.
And we brought it in the center of the city.
Yeah.
And frequently I go also bilocate to meditate in that center, in the crystal. And it is amazing energy.
Yeah, I really can imagine.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the group of 40. David, could you explain what is the importance of a group of 40? 40.
Well, the number 40 it has biblical and mystical powers. For example, Moses was on the Mount Sinai 40 days and 40 nights. The rain from Noah's Ark was 40 days and 40 nights. And I believe that when Jesus was out in the desert, he was out in the desert for 40 days and 40 nights. So 40 is a powerful, healing, mystical number. And the Arcturians asked me to create a group of 40 where we bring 40 people together to meditate. And then after I accomplished that, they wanted 40 groups of 40, which would bring 1,600 people. And that if we could develop 1,600 people who were devoted to planetary ascension and personal ascension and planetary healing, then we would be able to make a difference now on the planet. Now, 1,600 is still a small number, but we have to remember that we could be very focused in our thoughts. And if you have people who are meditating and are very focused, then you could accomplish amazing things, especially when you're using the spiritual technology that the Arcturians bring down. So right now, as I said, we have probably about 1,000 people around the world, including many in Latin America and South America. I'm just very surprised how people in South America have responded. I gave a presentation in Rio de Janeiro online last week, and we had 4,500 people online listening to the discussion. And because people want, know that the planet's in a crisis, they want to do something.
Yeah.
And it's not going to come from necessarily from the governments of the world, but it's going to come from the people who are wanting a healed planet. They wanted their cities to be healed. They want spiritual light. And we can, from our positions in the group of 40, begin the process of planetary healing.
Yeah, exactly. And is there a list that people can find to know which are these cities of light?
Yeah, if you go to my website, www.groupof40.com, under the techniques and spiritual technologies, there is a drop-down list that says Planetary Cities of Light. And you can look at the requirements and how to join. But also, if people write to me, or I could send them the list of the cities of light. I have a special coordinator. His name is Bob Maldonado. He lives in Alabama in the United States. And he and I organize the Planetary Cities of Light project. We are going to be activating, for example, a new city of light this Sunday. I think it's in Mexico. So we keep the list. It's quite a administrative and organizational task to review the applications, keep the list, and then set up the meetings for the activations. But we're keeping on top of it. And like I said, the interest is growing.
Yeah. And you mentioned this activation that is coming up. Do you do this online, or do you travel to Mexico? Or
No, it's all online. It's too complicated to travel, and we do it online, and the people join us online, and we might have 40 to 50 people joining us doing the activation. So it's all done through the internet, but which is a great use of the internet, because we're able to connect globally.
Exactly. It makes life much easier, doesn't it?
Right.
And now, what if someone is listening and thinks to himself, I would like to create a city of light in my city. How can they do that?
Well, if they're in the Netherlands, they could contact Elisha, or they could write to me, and then and go to my website, and then we have the instructions on how to do that. It's relatively simple. We have to have 4 people who become members of our group, and then we have an application where you put down why you want to do this, and if you're committed, and then we review the application. I have a special committee that's called the Planetary City of Light Committee, and we review the application. Then if it's accepted, then we set up an activation date, and I meet with the group online and the applicants, and we do the channeling with Giuliano to activate it.
Yeah, and Giuliano is one of the Arcturian guides, isn't it?
Yeah, he's my main Arcturian guide. I've been a channel now for about 26 years. I channel Giuliano, the Arcturian. I also channel Helioa, which is another Arcturian. And then I also channel Vaiwamas. And I believe that Dolores Cannon also was channeling Vaiwamas, who is a soul psychologist. And I also work with a native guide named Chief White Eagle.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. And I was going to ask you about, you also mentioned something in the book about not only there are cities of light, but also lakes, special lakes.
Well, there's an Arcturian, there's an Arcturian Crystal Lake. I don't know if you're referring to that. And the Arcturian said that we need practice in going to the 5th dimension. And what they have done is then they have set up a special Arcturian energy field called the Arcturian Crystal Lake. And in the Arcturian Crystal Lake, we can thought project and travel there and experience the 5th dimension. Yeah. So they have set this lake up, and they said that there are our 5th dimensional bodies, can and are there. So when we travel there, we could inhabit for a brief period of time our fifth dimensional bodies. So that is what is called the Arcturian Crystal Lake, and we use that in our planetary meditations.
Ah, wonderful. Because I work a lot with water and healing water and healing lakes and oceans, that type of healing. And so I was really fascinated when you
And
mentioned.
actually, I'm glad you mentioned that, because we, as a expansion of the Planetary Cities of Light project, we developed a secondary project called the Planetary Ocean Reserves of Light, because we felt that not only do we need to do protective cities of light, but we need to do protective ocean reserves of light. So we now have about 10 or 12 ocean reserves of light. And so that we would pick designated areas, say for example, around Cartagena, Colombia, we have one, or Bogota area, and and there's another one in the Baja Peninsula in Mexico, where the group of people want to protect the ocean areas. We have another one around Costa Rica. And it's really beautiful to see the people that gather on the beach and wanting to protect the ocean where they are living near. So this was an extension called the Planetary Ocean Reserve of Light.
Beautiful. Yeah. I think that's really great, because I feel that that water has consciousness itself, and that water is a living being. So I feel it's so much part of healing the planet, and that we should heal the water of this planet. So
the oceans are like a superorganism. You're absolutely right. And the oceans has its own feedback loop system. The ocean has its own current. Some of the currents in the ocean takes 400 or 500 years to complete its cycle. I mean, when I did some studying about this, I was actually shocked how complex the oceans are, and that we need to start protecting. And unfortunately, the Arcturians have told me that the way current things are, the ocean life could collapse. You know, nobody wants that. I mean, I can't imagine what it would be to live on a planet where the ocean died. What a terrible thought. But, you know, based on what's happening now on this planet and in the oceans, we need to turn this around.
yeah,
We need a spiritual intervention immediately to protect the oceans.
yeah, exactly. Well, I think I will come back to you at some point to talk with you about the water healing, because I really want to play a role in this in my part of the world. And Elisha, do you know if there's any project going on in the Netherlands around water? And
No, not particular. There is one person in Vinkeveen, I think, and he also works with the venom. And it is small waters, but it is not enough to do something specific for it. I was planned before I was starting here in the Netherlands in Lunteren, and I was living a couple of years ago nearby in Le Haye, and there was the North Sea. And I was planned at that time to do something for the North Sea, but now it is too far away and it is not possible to do something for the North Sea.
yeah, well, I live next to the North Sea, so maybe we could have a chat about that sometime and see how we can do that. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. It could be a small section. It doesn't have to be the whole sea. It could just be a small section, because the one guide I work with, Helioa, she talks about holographic energy, and if you heal one part, then the rest can be transmitted to the other parts. So that's the one of the core principles of the Arcturian planetary healing is the principle of holographic healing, which I know that Elisha is very involved in her work.
exactly. I was just going to ask you about that. Elisha, could you share a bit about your work with holographic healing?
My work with holographic healing, if I look back at what is holographic healing, what is holographic energy, then I did it all my life. with the children, with the people in shamanistic healing. It is come all together. And it is holographic energy and healing views everything in terms of totality.
Yeah. Maybe you could explain a bit what holographic healing is, because I just realized that maybe not everyone understands what holographic healing means.
Well, it means what you experience right now is a part of the whole presence and the whole process. And what you see of yourself right now on earth is part of your greater self. But that greater self is not what many can reach or understand.
Yeah.
And when we work in the meditations or in the healing process, then you also learn what it is, the higher self, the greater self.
Yeah.
And then we can heal the past, the future, but also the present time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this is quite similar to what quantum healers do and how they work along the method of Dolores Cannon. When we connect with the higher self and we see it as our earthly self is only a part of our higher self. And when we connect with the higher self, we can heal the past, the present, and the future. So I guess that's similar, isn't it?
Yeah, and we see a greater part. If we connect it with the higher self and beyond, then we see a greater part of what we really are, what we have done in the past, and how we can heal it.
Yeah,
to
exactly.
create a better future and a better present.
Yeah.
And it is not only healing this, you can heal your organs and your dramas of traumas.
Yeah.
Everything can be healed with this energy.
And do you also use a trance state to do that, or is it differently?
A trance state is not really necessarily, but we can, if we connect with those energies, we become more quiet, more open, more perceptive. And that is also a kind of trance state, you can call it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And David, I read in your book something about a sacred triangle that you use for healing. Could you share about that?
Part of the planetary healing modality and the new spiritual technology the Arcturians talk about focuses on a new spiritual paradigm. And they call the new spiritual paradigm the sacred triangle. Now, the sacred triangle has three parts that are three parts of spirituality. The first is called the White Brotherhood, White Sisterhood. And I know that Dolores Cannon was very involved in the White Brotherhood, White Sisterhood. It included ascended masters on the earth from all the different religions, including the Christ light, including the Kabbalah and the Christian mystics, but and also Tibetans and yogas and many other different higher ascended masters. But we're in a new spiritual world, and the second part of the sacred triangle is called galactic spirituality. And galactic spirituality is based on the observation that there are other peoples, other higher beings in the galaxy, and that we have to modify our worldview to include galactic thinking, galactic energy. And the galactic masters, which include the Arcturians, who are fifth dimensional, it includes the Pleiadians. It includes also other extragalactic sources, such as the Andromedans. So we study, and I study and work with the galactic spirituality, and I'm also interested in what I call galactic anthropology, which is the study of other cultures and other galactic planets. And the third part of the sacred triangle is called the native peoples. In particular, in North America, we're interested in the Native Americans, but we know we have native peoples in Mexico, we have them all over South America, and in different parts of the world. And the native peoples know how to communicate with the earth. They have a long history of interacting with the spirit of the earth. And so we need the native perspectives. We need the galactic perspectives, and we need the perspective of the White Brotherhood, White Sisterhood. And the Arcturians say, well, when we bring those three together in the sacred triangle, this will be the basis for the planetary healing.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. And do you feel that there are certain native tribes that are more related to the Arcturians, for example?
Well, I have not found any. I found that some of the tribes in North America are related to the Pleiadians. So, for example, the Cherokee, who have their home base now in Oklahoma, they, in their earlier writings and earlier folk stories, believe they came from the Pleiadians. I have talked to some of the Hopis in Arizona, and they were interested in the Arcturians, but I have not found specific other relationships or historical evidence that any other tribes are related to the Arcturians. Just to the Pleiadians is the only one right now that I've discovered.
Yeah, yeah. And Elisha, I would like to ask you something about the school that you started. You started the Arcturian Earth School, right?
Yeah.
Could you share a bit about that school?
Yeah, we have a mission, and not only the school in the Netherlands, but all the Group of 40 has a mission. And the Arcturian School has a part of this mission to activate and teach information, wisdom, meditation of the fifth dimension. And we work with the earth to heal the earth, and together, and in the same time, we heal ourselves. We do this meditation, and we contribute to the evolution of the earth towards an expanded and higher consciousness in order to create expanded, fair, just human society to create. And all the people who are coming in the school and take classes in the school, they change immediately. It is amazing to see.
And is this an online school, or is it?
No, it was the planning was at that time to create a school here above my home. And I did, but from the COVID, it was not possible. So I did it online. And now I do it online also. And start in June or September with classes.
Great. And as I understand, you do a lot of meditations in these classes, or do you teach them how to use the different healing modalities?
Well, we explain a lot in the school, and we work, as David already mentioned, the tools to learn from ourselves, to learn from what is happening in the earth, what is in the noosphere, as David knows. That is an energy around the earth that has all the information, whatever happens in the earth. Like we have an aura, for instance. We hold also in our aura everything what is ever happened in our life, in our lives, and that we heal it. We get insights in how to use it, how to work with it. With the meditations, I do always after a class, bring meditations in. With that, I see that people not only grow, but they have immediately the information, because the Arcturians are always with us.
Yeah, I can really imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And David, do you have something similar, like a school that people can join, or classes that people can join?
Well, I give webinars. I'm giving a webinar this tomorrow on the noosphere, and I try to give webinars once every 2 months on various subjects. And as the leader of the Group of 40, I give one Saturday, the first Saturday of every month, I give a lecture by the Arcturians, and I also help to lead biorelativity meditations. And of course, I'm overseeing the whole project. So I do not specifically have a school, but my mission is devoted to directing and working with the project globally.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, I think we've learned a lot today, and I'm really glad that you both wanted to join me. And is there anything else that you would like to share today with people who are listening?
Well, I just wanted to say again that we are in a planetary crisis. And in fact, we are in the middle of what's called the sixth mass extinction. And we need to work with higher dimensional energies. The biggest message is that we need a fifth dimensional intervention. We need a new spiritual perspective to solve this very complicated problem. But we can accomplish and heal this planet. And I, Elisha, and others in my group are devoted to the spiritual healing of our beloved planet, which the Arcturians call the Blue Jewel. So thank you very much, Patricia. I enjoyed very much this opportunity to meet you and all your friends on your YouTube channel.
Yes, thank you. And I think today is a very special day because today is the birthday of Dolores Cannon. And she passed away a few years ago, of course. But this week we have a special event from the quantumhealers.com. And Candace Kroll-Goldman was the founder of quantumhealers.com. And this is a platform where many quantum healers join, and they exchange, well, experiences, wisdom, knowledge, and they can also share their trainings, their workshops, their books. And so I will share this video with them, and I'm really sure that many quantum healers on this platform will really enjoy reading your books and learning more about the groups of 40 that both Elisha and you are part of. And so I'm really grateful that you both wanted to be my guest today. It was really an honor to have you. And Elisha, I think we probably will do another interview in Dutch for the Dutch listeners. And I think it should be fun. And well, thank you so much.
Bye.
Okay.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Bye.